Hi there, and welcome to UVU's 2020 Summer Theater Camp. Sort of. My name is Kaili, and I'll be giving you some tips and tricks to help you with your acting for non-musical theater, acting for straight plays, or just acting for plays, whatever you want to call it. Today, we're going to be tackling the big beast, the thing that scares actors no matter how experienced they are. Auditioning. I know, cue the organ music and the crackling lightning. Whether it's your first audition or your 100th audition, it's perfectly normal to be nervous. Hopefully some of these tips will help to alleviate some of that and make you feel a little more prepared. Tip number 1, do your research. This is the most important thing you can do to prepare for an audition. First, look at the play. Have you read it before? If not, then read it. If you really don't want to, or you just don't have the time, then SparkNotes and Wikipedia are your friend. If you want to read it but can't find a copy of it, ask your director. They love that. It shows that you have a genuine interest in the play. If you have read it, then revisit it. Maybe watch the movie version, if there is one. Just become familiar with the material again. The second thing you want to research is who wrote the play. Again, Wikipedia can become your best friend for something like this. Understanding why the author wrote the play can give you a better understanding of the characters and the plot. I also like to look up interviews with the playwright to see if they talk about why they wrote it in the first place. Tip number 2. Know what kind of audition you're attending. There are 4 kinds of auditions that I'm going to cover. The first is the most common for high school age kids. We've all seen the posters taped to the school doors saying, "Bring 2 contrasting monologues." But what exactly does that mean? Normally, when directors say 2 contrasting monologues, they'll mean one of 2 things. Either a comedic monologue and a dramatic monologue, or a classical monologue and a contemporary monologue. Depending on the show, I like to have one of each. I'll choose a classical monologue that is comedic and a contemporary monologue that is dramatic. Or switch those. If you're auditioning for a Shakespeare play, then you might want to do a comedic classical and a dramatic classical. Comedic monologues give you a great opportunity to show how you can move on a stage and how you can interact with an audience. Dramatic monologues are a great way to show your range as an actor and how you work with other actors, how you can connect with people. When talking about classical monologues versus contemporary monologues, the time frame can seem a little tricky. Currently, a classical monologue is considered anything that was written before 1950. Where a contemporary monologue is anything written after 1950. Again, Google is your friend. If you're not sure about when a play was written, Google it. The second kind of audition is a cold read audition. This is when the director gives you a monologue or a scene from the play that you're going to be performing. Sometimes they'll provide the materials before the audition. Sometimes you won't get them until the day of the audition. If you've done your research, then a cold audition should be no problem, whether you've been given the monologue in advance or asked to perform it that day. This will show that you've come prepared to be in this show. Cold read auditions can also show how quickly you can adapt to a situation. The third kind of audition is an open audition. This is where the director will bring in groups of actors, usually between 5 and 10 at a time, in order to audition in front of each other. This can seem pretty nerve-wracking. However, it gives you an audience to play off of. It allows you more room to move freely and feel more comfortable. On the flip side of that is the closed audition. This is where the director brings you in one at a time and you perform your monologue for the director, sometimes the stage manager and the assistant director. It depends on how big the show is. In this kind of audition, you don't have the audience. It's just you and the people who are deciding if you're in the show or not. This puts you on the spot, but it also gives you a great opportunity to show how you perform under pressure. Just remember, no matter the type of audition, the director is rooting for you. They want you to do well. Tip number 3 is to know who you are. Why did you choose this monologue? Why did you choose this character? What about this character speaks to you? How do you connect with this character? Whether it's Jasmine from Aladdin or John Proctor from The Crucible. Do you connect with Jasmine's strong will and thirst for adventure? Or do you connect with John Proctor's strength of character and desire to do the right thing? Whatever character you choose, you should know their why. You should know what they want out of this scene. The other thing you need to think about is, who are they talking to? You're not talking to the director. You are not yourself talking to a group of people in front of you. You are Jasmine talking to Raja, or the Sultan, or Jafar. Who you're talking to is going to greatly affect how you talk, how you hold yourself, how you interact. So, remember who you're talking to and why you're talking to them. Finally, tip number 4, nail your slate. I can already hear some of you asking, what's a slate? A slate is basically your introduction. It's what you say when you first come into the room and they tell you to stand on the red X. Your slate will normally include your name, what monologues you've chosen, where they're from, and who they're by. I'll give you an example. Hi, my name is Kaili Ogden, and I will be performing 2 monologues for you today. The first from The Crucible by Arthur Miller, which I will be playing Abigail, and the second one from Henry V, where I will be playing the chorus. Now, once you've slated, you'll begin your monologue. But before you do, it's important to have a moment and to step into the monologue. So after you name your second piece, you'll take a step back, take a deep breath, kind of ground yourself, think about where you want to go, and begin the first monologue. Once you finish that monologue, you'll take a step back. You're stepping out of that character. You're stepping out of that world. You're going to ground yourself again. Breathe. Remember to breathe. Breathing is very important. And then you are going to step into the new monologue. And it needs to be that kind of a switch, because you don't want your monologues to blend into each other. Especially when they're too contrasting, the shift can be a little shaky. So remember, slate, tell them your name and your pieces, take a step back, breathe, enter the world. Finish, step back, breathe, and enter the other world. There's a lot of fun dynamics you can play with when you're switching between monologues, especially if you're switching between something comedic and dramatic, or switching between something contemporary and classical. In my case, I like to choose monologues that are a bit of both. The Crucible is considered more contemporary and is very dramatic, whereas Henry V is a classical play. And although it is dramatic, the chorus monologue at the very beginning is a little more fun and playful. And that's it for today. On Wednesday, we'll start working with scripts. In order to prepare for our lesson that day, I want you to visit a book. Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. We'll practice our acting chops using this story. You're welcome to watch the movie as well if you want, although the book and movie are very different, and we'll be focusing on the book. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I'll see you on Wednesday. Have fun, actors.